Oh,
Welcome, welcome. This is
thank you.
episode 5 of the what is the what? To be honest, I don't even do intros really well. I just kind of like to talk, and I like to just yabber. So that's my intro. What's your story? Episode 5 here with Iain Power from the Power Hour. That scheduled on Tuesdays, I believe. Hopefully, Ian will correct me on that one. Every Tuesday.
Yep.
So we're on Periscope. So there
Yep.
you go. All right, Ian. So what's been happening? What's been going on? I was actually on your show earlier this week, which I was super honoured to be on. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Just so happened that we'd scheduled this as well, so it was all kind of working well together. Get to see you twice this week.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. So yeah, it was an honor to have you on. We were just Lisa and I were trying to figure out the New Zealand time difference thing. That's the biggest issue with having a show on in the evenings, Eastern Standard Time. Is it's great for most people in the U.S., but when you get over to Europe and then over to Australia and then New Zealand, it can be difficult. So so we're trying to figure out the time difference in New Zealand, and it was great that you could do it. It was amazing. It was a great scope.
Thanks. No, it's I've kind of catered for all of my social media stuff to be. I just adhere to the millions, to the masses.
Okay.
So it's no problems at all.
Okay.
I think that's why I have this show at such a convenient time. I think it's convenient on a
Yes, it is.
Saturday for the weekend over in the States, which is Sunday early morning here in New Zealand. So at the minute it's about quarter past. It's scheduled for 7:15. 5. Sorry. Anyway, so Ian, you are from. Now I actually thought you were from the east coast of the States, and I don't know, New York or somewhere, I don't know. But you're not, is that correct? Or you are?
Right. I was actually born in England and lived my first 10 years there.
So maybe that's where I got confused.
Yeah, I was born in 1966 in England, and we moved to the States in 1976.
76. Wow, that's crazy. So I recall seeing your Periscope where you shared a part of your story a while back. And
yes.
One particular part that intrigued me was you can tell a story about the car, the incident with the car.
Oh yeah, that was I can go back a little bit further, and I can build up to. It could kind of build up to. So I was born to. Oh, poor Kim! It's 3:23 in the morning. I was born to into. I guess my father was a brilliant man, and he had invented office furniture and had his own business, and it was quite successful actually. And so he was quite well off, and so yeah, I was kind of born into a rich type of situation. I went to private school in England, and everything was, just amazing. Had all the latest toys. We had so many friends because they'd all come over and see what we got for our birthdays and Christmas and stuff like that. But along with being a brilliant man, he was also quite abusive, and he had a drinking problem, and so it wasn't all warm and fuzzy at all. It was he was abusive physically to my mother, and emotionally, more so emotionally to us, to me and my sisters. He just turned, when he was drinking, he just turned into this evil person that was, just every holiday was ruined. If it was Christmas, if it was a birthday, whatever, it would start off okay, but by the end of the night, I would be laying in bed terrified because he's out there in the living room talking about how he's going to murder us all in our sleep. I mean, that was the kind of situation. So, of course, when you have a successful business and you also have an addiction, hey, Joey, those two don't go together very well, very long. And so we were living in this old Victorian home, driving around in a Rolls Royce. I mean, it was a rich little spoiled kid on one hand. On the other hand, I was terrified of my father, and I was terrified of what might happen to us. I mean, I would lay in bed at night, just terrified. I couldn't sleep because I'm afraid he was going to come in and kill us, right? So anyway, yeah. Long story short, his business went under, and we ended up moving out into an apartment or a flat, as you would call it, and everything changed. Everything changed. All the good stuff was gone. The house by the seaside was gone. Everything was gone, and we went from having whatever we wanted financially to nothing, and which I didn't quite understand. I mean, I did, but I didn't. And so my father, he was working in London in the sewers. That was one of his ways of bringing income in, and he did several other things too. And so, fast forward to 10 years old. On my 10th birthday, I got a hamster, right? And 2 weeks later, we're on a plane to the United States because my dad's sister lived here. And we moved to Arizona, and she said, we could live with her. She had a huge house. She was quite financially well off as well. And I'm trying to understand. I mean, I was excited to come to the United States, of course, but why? You get a hamster for your birthday. 2 weeks later, you're whisked off the United States. What happened, right?
Yeah.
What's going on? So, and honestly, I cannot tell you what happened. I do not know what happened.
Wow.
He got up to something. I don't know what it was. So, and also, him losing his business and everything like that, he didn't make him any better. He didn't stop his addiction. He became worse drunk, more abusive, and then it just continued and continued until I left the house at 18 years old, and so, unfortunately, left my poor mom with him and my sisters. But yeah, I had to get away, and so, and also, some of his emotional abuse was, I was never going to make it. I was always going to be a lazy bum. I was never going to, every job I had, I would be fired from. Those are the kinds of things that he'd say to me. So, I mean, you kind of take on the role,
Yeah.
But I was also determined not to ever be like him. I said, whatever happens, I will not be like him. I will not be what he is. My dad was a very jealous man of my mother. My mother used to have to. I mean, she's a strong woman. I love my mother. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here because, well, obviously, but I mean, she was the rock. Even though she took the beatings, she stayed strong for us kids, and she would do little things for us because when we so let me get back to it. So we're staying with my aunt. Something happens between my dad and my aunt. She kicks us out of the house. So we're in Arizona, and we had to find this little apartment to stay in. And my dad worked a job as a janitor, and then he worked a job, just these little jobs here and there because, he's an immigrant, right? So, so basically, we lived in poverty.
Yeah.
We ended up living in West Phoenix, which some people may not know is a heavily a lot of gangs there.
Okay.
And so here I was, this little English boy, not very tall, very skinny, basically in a situation where I had to run home from school every day for fear of getting beaten up. And a few times I was caught, and
Yeah.
bikes stolen, beat up. It was tough. So, I mean, it taught me how to fight. It taught me how to protect myself and defend myself. But yeah, it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it doesn't compare to some childhoods, but for me,
Oh, look, it's, when you're going through things as a kid and you don't understand why you're going through these things, especially, like you've been shifted from one continent to another in a very quick time frame, you end up kind of wondering what is happening. And, sometimes you don't even know the reasons, and you don't even find out the reasons. But, but it does have an effect. It does have an effect.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that, there are a lot of different upbringings that people have, that your particular upbringing is any worse than anyone else's because you're dealing with that situation right at that particular time.
Right.
And you talk about, your father being abusive, and on the outside of the family home, when you're in England, you've got this, perfect life, just inverted brackets, perfect life, from the outside, everyone can see, oh, Ian's got this, and the family is, well off and getting, hamsters and whatnot. But on the inside, behind closed doors, there's some really serious issues and some really serious stuff going on behind closed doors, which is a part of the emotional abuse that you tend to suffer as a kid. So tell us about, you've moved over to the States. You're now, somewhat older. You'd say you're in your teens, early 20s, and you're finding your footing. You've left home. Where is Ian now?
So Ian is installing carpet and finishing high school, and just I was helping a guy install carpet. That was how I got money, and but nobody ever taught me money management, obviously, and so I'd earn money, I'd spend it. Earn money, I'd spend it. Of course, I had to pay a rent because I was staying in an apartment. But thankfully, I did drink, but I did not develop the habit. Like I drank on weekends or whatever, and kind of as an escape or whatever. But I never developed. I was if I went weeks and weeks without a beer, that was fine. I never developed. I never had that type of. I didn't inherit that from my father. And when I did get intoxicated, I was usually like life of the party type person, not angry. An angry person like my father was.
Yeah.
But so, and then, so after high school, I actually had a few jobs. I never got fired from one. Like my father said, I just kind of like moved up and up and up as much as I could, and started working for an aerospace company in the factory, and also going to school at the same time. And then at this point, I was married for the first time, and we bought our first house and then our second house, and then so moving up into around 30, I was divorced, and
so you've gone. You sort of come to that point where you're comfortable where you are at that particular time, and obviously you've got a relationship going on. You're going into your marriage. You got a bit of collateral. What I call collateral. You've got a house, another house, and things are going really well. So, I see a with your power hour. I know there's probably a wee bit of a jump between. Your first marriage and where you are at the minute, but we spoke about you had something going on. Like I recall you broke a leg, or I'm not sure what happened, or you had an accident maybe, and you jumped. That's how you came about being on Periscope. Is that right?
Yeah. So jumping ahead, I've had 2 failed marriages. Okay, and I won't say failed marriages. I'll say 2 marriages that, it takes 2 to get married. It takes 2 to get divorced, and there's lessons learned from all of them. I have 2 beautiful children who are grown-ups now. Out of it all, everything's a learning. Everything's a lesson for me. So, but after my second marriage ended, I told myself I'd never get married again. I said, that's it. Obviously, I've got, relationship issues or something, I can, and, but I did go to counseling, and I just want to say that counseling does help. It really does. I think everybody who has issues, it's great to talk them out. It's great to talk them through. And let me tell you, when you find the right counselor, one that's enlightened and knows when you need to stop and go out on your own, which mine was. She was amazing. You figure things out and then you move on. You don't want a counselor that's gonna like latch onto you and just tap you for however much every week, right? However much money every week. So, and I said to her, I said, I'm never getting married again. And she says, don't ever say that. Do not punish your future partners for what for what you experienced with your past. And that was very profound to me. And I said, okay. And anyway, so I am married again, and this time, Michelle, my wife, I talk a lot about her. She's the best partner anybody could ever have, and she's my rock. And she supports me in everything I do. She supports Power Hour. She supports my own business. Which is design engineering. She helped me get into Reiki, and so last year, was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. I'm working 2 jobs. I'm working my design engineering job, and also I'm cleaning. At night, I'm cleaning a school because I have to pay, alimony payments, and it was tough to get by. So at that time I said to myself, okay, I need to get another job. I need to do this. And so I'm cleaning a school and getting tennis elbow from all the mopping and the sweeping, and just, because I'm not a young guy anymore, and just yeah. I was on Facebook and I met a person you guys might know, Lex Meredith, 10X Lex, he's known as on social media, who I just liked all his posts on Facebook. He was very upbeat and very entrepreneurial, and we started back and forth. And he says, you need to get a mentor. I said, well, why don't you be my mentor? He goes, I don't have time to be a mentor to anybody. He says, here's a list of books to read, right? And one of those books was The 10X School by Grant Cardone. And as I'm listening to it, and I actually got it as an audio book, and I'm listening to it, and it's just this thing started going off in my head. Yes. This is what I'm doing wrong. I'm not applying myself enough. I'm working for somebody else for $11 an hour. I should be doing something, for of my own at this point. I should be taking responsibility for myself. And one of the things he said in that book was, you've got to 10x your social presence. If people don't know you, they're not going to buy from you, right? I said, okay, I'm going to 10x. That's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to 10x my social media. And then something happened. I was training for a 5K, and as I was training for it, I fractured my leg, which put me at home for a few weeks, and put me on disability. And so I first 10x'd my LinkedIn, and then I decided to hit Twitter, which is where I found Periscope, and the rest is history. I watched a lot of Periscopes at that time. It was about little less than a year ago. I'm watching all these Periscopes, and I'm like, wow, these people are going on going on live streaming,
Yeah.
you know, and I'd never done that. I wasn't a public speaker. I could never public speak.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, this is incredible. And so I started dabbling in it. I started doing my own periscopes to maybe one person, 2 or 3 people would come on, because they don't know who I am.
Yeah.
In the room, and I was terrible. I was horrible. I was, stuttering.
Yeah.
But I mean, thank God I don't have those first few scopes because they didn't get saved because they were like crazy.
I'm smiling as you bring up the emotions in myself. When you first start the broadcast and you're like, people live streaming, and you see some of them like the likes of Alex Khan or those who have been around since day dot on Periscope, and you see them and they seem so confident, but understanding that we are still 1 year on, we can understand what it was like to start out when you're first broadcasting, because it feels so natural, when you're just talking to yourself. Effectively, you're just talking to yourself or talking to your phone, yet it's being streamed out live to the entire planet, which is an amazing opportunity to be able to do that to everyone. So you're now on Periscope, and you got to do a power hour. How does the power hour come about?
Okay, so one, I started my own show called. I went off Periscope as far as broadcasting for a little while because I said I just stink. I have nothing nothing that anybody's interested in. Nobody's coming onto my Periscopes. I just kind of got a little bit frustrated, and I said I got to have something different. And I'm watching everybody and learning from everybody. The Matt Cranes. Grant Cardone's on there all the time. All these different people. I said it's got to be something different. So I started a show called Windscope, and I did it. I decided I'd do it once a week, and to see how it went over. And what I did was, this scope is going to be talking about winners, people who I feel are winners just because. They have touched so many lives. They're helping people, and talk about them on the scope. And I started that, and I think I got 3 or 4 episodes in, and started feeling a little bit of that frustration again because nobody was seeming to come on and watch. And I was like, well, maybe this isn't working. And then a lady who I developed a good friendship with, who's Yvonne. She used to be you guys might have known her as Voss Fake Beauty on Periscope. She contacted me and she said, Iain, I like your Windscopes, but I think we could do something better. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, I like your idea. She said, but you need to work with me. I'll help you get guests on, and we'll do it kind of like a scope train. And instead of just you talking, have you host it and have some guests on it. So I said, this kind of sounds like a good idea. I'm intrigued. I'd like to get back on Periscope again. And she said, I believe in you. You're a great person. You come across really nice over there and on Periscope, and believable. And I think that you should do this. So we did our first power hour, and it went really well. Our very first guest was Lisa Burgess, and I also had Chris Driven from Driven Productions, and JC Limitless.
Yeah.
And it went really, really well. And unfortunately, a few episodes in, Yvonne had some personal stuff she had to take care of, and she couldn't do it anymore. And so here I am sitting here with a show that needs to be produced, because it does take a lot to get this show together, believe it or not. Oh. And I was doing everything I could to keep it together. And I don't know, I was talking to Lisa, because Lisa and we had a friendship, but it wasn't as developed as it is now. And And she said, "How's it going?" I said, "Well, yeah, it's okay, but Power Hour is a bit of a struggle for me because I've lost it on, and I need somebody to produce." And Lisa says, "How can I help?" And I said, "Oh, you shouldn't have asked that question." And so, but she was more than willing, more than happy, and she was the interim producer, and eventually became the executive producer. And she brings her personality to the show, and it just kicked right off. And
Yeah.
let me tell you,
And it blew up, right?
it did, and the whole show is about helping people by connecting with positive people, positive driven people that are full of motivation, and helping people to hit start broadcast for the first time, live stream for the first time, and so this is how this show came about, and it's my passion now. I love it, and just because it does help people, it does touch lives. People look forward to it. We have such dedicated viewers that set their calendars for Tuesday nights at 8 or 9 o'clock, depending, and
That's awesome. I love the fact that, what I've just heard over the sort of last 25 half an hour is, basically you've moved to a different place. You've had some struggles, and you've, personal struggles, emotional struggles. Those are the, I feel that they're not easy to get through. So, and now that you've created this platform within the Power Hour to be able to give back and help others is amazing. It's such an important part of moving forward in your own, in our own aspect of life, is to be able to give back, and that's amazing. Now, you mentioned earlier about Reiki. Now, when I did a wee promo, I still don't know what it is. I didn't research it.
Reiki.
So what is Reiki?
Reiki is okay. So, it's interesting because I'm probably one of the only engineers that practices Reiki, I think, because an engineer is so scientific, right? Everything's numbers and formulas, and the world is made up of these types of molecules and atoms and cells and etc. But I've always been a very spiritual person, and by spiritual I mean, well, I was of course raised Catholic, but I believe in God. I believe in definitely a higher power. I don't think that you can have this much beauty on this earth by accident. And so in my quest to help people, which is really what I want to do, that's really what I want to be known for, is helping people. I've always wanted to heal as well, not so much be a doctor, but if it's healing minds by sharing my story or what have you. But I've always noticed that I've read books about quantum touch, which is a scientific book, kind of like talking about Reiki in the scientific form. But and I was very interested in that, and I started practicing that. And then when I met Michelle, Michelle is a massage therapist as well as a beautician, and she was talking to me about Reiki. And Reiki, what Reiki is a Japanese term. Basically, that's the energy that's in our bodies, right? We all have energy flowing through us, and energy is constant. And what Reiki, sometimes, okay, let me try and explain this as simply as possible. In our energies, sometimes we get blockages, just as a power grid will go down, or you take a hose pipe that's got water flowing through it, and you put a kink in it, it stops that flow of water, right? So this energy comes from above, flows down through our heads, through our bodies, and out through our feet. And this is the constant energy. This is whether it comes from God or the universe, whatever you believe, there's always, you cannot deny there's energy coming from somewhere and going through our bodies, because energy is always moving. So sometimes when we have an emotional struggle or perhaps a physical ailment, it's like that kink in the hose. It blocks the flow of that Reiki energy, which makes us sick, whether it makes us emotionally sick or physically sick or both. And usually it is both.
Mm.
And so the energy that's flowing through is not clearing that blockage, it stops, right? And it gets people sick. So what a Reiki practitioner does is it's like, oh, look, I have energy too. And my energy is flowing. So what is it going to take to clear that blockage? Well, maybe a little bit of extra energy. And so a Reiki practitioner will channel their energy through the client's energy, and that little extra boost of energy will help clear that blockage. And so, you start at the head, and because, I could go into explaining what chakras are, but that could be for another show. But we do have chakras from our heads to our waist. And so you start at the top, and just kind of, I'll lay my hand on their head, and just like work my way down, and flowing energy. I'm absorbing the energy that's coming from above as well as the client, and helping push through whatever blockage there is. And it takes a, what's that?
I'm just like, that's crazy. And then I see Kim's comment where she cried for 2.5 days because she was blocked or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm gonna have to look into it. I know. Hey, look, I don't want to cut you off, but I do know that you need to be somewhere.
Yeah.
On your way shortly. So, look, and as always, I just want to promote you. I've got your social medias, but if you want to tell us where you're at, how people can get a hold of you in particular. If they need a Reiki done, or they need something designed, because I know you design stuff as well. How do we get a hold of you?
Well, you can here. I'm always available. Let me see. I'm gonna put my phone number down. Oh, there's Lisa.
Lisa is in there. Hi, Lisa.
Hold on a second.
So we got it's Iain Power. It's Iain's Power, isn't it? Basically, across all social medias, pretty much.
So I'm either. So here's my phone number if anybody wants to reach me on my phone number. But I'm typing in. So I'm this. In most of my social media, I'm Iain S. Power, or at Iain S. Power. And on my Facebook, I'm just Iain Power. Like that on Facebook. So, you can reach me. I'm very reachable. Yeah. I love to meet new people. I love to talk to people. Yeah. And, if anybody wants any more questions about Reiki, or since I got a couple minutes, I am a design engineer. That is my main focus, and I do 3D design. So I do work for a company during the day as a design engineer for aerospace parts, but also have my own business, which is designing, taking overflow from some big companies and helping them design parts, and also giving my services to, say you're an inventor, and say you've come up with an idea, okay, and you know what you want. Say it's a new vacuum cleaner, or say it's some type of sports equipment, or a new piece of kitchen equipment. You know what you want, but you're not an engineer. You don't know how to bring it into reality.
Yeah.
I will take your idea after signing a non-disclosure agreement, of course, and put it together as an actual design with screws, springs, whatever it needs to work, electronics, and make it an actual producible item that's going to work.
Wow.
And get you a 3D image of it, the drawings of it, everything, so you can manufacture it. And also, you can make they have the desktop printers now. You can make a little 3D model of it and actually present it to your investors or customers and say, "This is my idea," so that they can get the backing and the money to go forward. And I know there's a lot of inventors out there, and they want to take that next step, and I'm the guy you come to, basically, and you'll make it happen.
Excellent.
And
I like that. I like that. Hey, look, look. We've got about a minute, and I only need about let me think, about 10 seconds. I've got this wee game thing that I love to play. You may have seen it. I've actually started to come up with a proper name for it, so I'm going to call it 9 and 10. I think that's what I'll call it. So I'll give you a topic. You have 10 seconds to give me to give me 9 answers. So we'll call it 9 and 10.
Oh, okay.
All right. So it's just a random game to kind of basically to end off the show.
Okay.
And so I've listened to you, and I know you've been in the States for a while, so you'd be pretty clued on with the topic that I'm about to give you.
Okay.
I'll get my wee timer out. Actually, I could just count online, but it's a bit long, a bit of a long process. So I'll get my timer out. Clock, time, stopwatch. 10 seconds. It's already programmed.
Okay.
And we will. You ready for the topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I want you to name 9 countries in Europe. Go.
Okay. England, Scotland, Ireland, France, Germany, Italy, Sweden, Norway, Denmark. Russia's in Europe. There you go.
There you go. Well, that was about 14 seconds, but it's all right. It's all right. It's not a competition. Brilliant. All right, we've done well on that one. Hey, look, I do know you're reading or have read a book called Letting Go by David R. Hawkins.
Yes.
Which I had a wee look at that. So it's a book that I'll have to nudge in and have a look at. Hey, look, thank you for coming on my show, Ian. And
it's an honor that you had me. I really appreciate it. I really do. It's really great.
It's my honor to be able to get people on, to even have a show. So, I saw your Power Hour a while back, late last year, and I thought that's a great idea. And as sort of time ticked on, I thought let's do something different as well. So, you have inspired me to come up with an idea for a show. So don't think that your show goes unnoticed.
Thank you. It's amazing. It's amazing that this show is amazing. I love it. And Lisa, I just want to say just a quick word that Lisa has been a very, very awesome partner and friend and executive producer, and now co-host of Power Hour Live on Blab. She is just amazing, and I just can't say enough about her. And you should get her on here soon.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! I was going to do a sneaky one, but yes, that is the plan. That is the plan. Hey, look, thanks so much, Ian. And look, as I wind up the show, it just goes to show that no matter how many struggles we each and all go through in life, sometimes they're not always outward struggles that we see. They are the inward struggles. We can all have a nice tidy house on the outside, but on the inside it can be a bit messy. And
it can be. Yeah, it can be. And I mean, I always say, like my favorite saying is, "Thank God it's today." Yeah, because today is, you never know what's going to happen. And as long as you stay in a positive mindset, you'll attract the positive things to you. every day is a blessing. Every day is a gift. And yeah, that's it really, because that's exactly how I feel. Um, and also really quick, we're not a product of our past, or we're that it does not define us. What defines us is how we deal with what has happened to us and turn it around and use it to help people and to be stronger.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mm-hmm. That is awesome. And that's what's your story.